Today, Governor Bullock held a press conference with state health leaders to address unemployment insurance funds and the rise in COVID cases.
The state will be directing $200 million in CARES Act dollars to the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. Bullock says the move is to prevent Montana businesses from experiencing an 85% spike in their tax rate. Bullock also announced that starting tomorrow, the state will begin publicly displaying COVID hospital capacity across the state. The report will show bed capacity, number of ventilators, and ICU capacity. Yellowstone and Flathead counties reported the lion's share of new cases in the past month. Bullock again affirmed his position on leaving stricter COVID mandates in the hands of local governments, saying it didn't make sense for the governor to implement restrictions for only a couple counties at a time. And Bullock also urged Congress and the president to find common ground and pass another COVID stimulus package to help financially impacted Americans.
As Montana continues to see record cases, tribal leaders hope a 2-week shutdown on the Blackfeet Reservation will slow the spread of COVID-19. Just over a week into the shutdown, tribal leaders are reporting more than 300 active cases on the reservation. That's out of roughly 7,000 people who live on or near the reservation. But those numbers are still about 2 weeks behind. The National Guard is now on site to provide assistance. The Blackfeet Nation is encouraging residents to be responsible during this time.
So I think for the majority, people are listening right now. I just want to remind people to keep, follow the social distancing rules, wear your masks are mandatory, stay safe. We're still in this, we're all in this together. And to try to curb this, we just need everybody to follow the rules.
As of now, there have been 3 coronavirus-related deaths on the Blackfeet Reservation.
Families in Great Falls Public Schools can now check the GFPS website and Facebook page for daily coronavirus updates. This week, the district unveiled the new protocol for reporting coronavirus cases. If you go to the district's website, you can find the total number of active cases as well as the number of active cases by school. The total number of active cases will also be posted every day to the district's Facebook page. The numbers for each day will be posted between 4:30 and 5 o'clock each afternoon. Superintendent Tom Moore says the decision to provide daily updates comes after the state fell behind in weekly updates. Now GFPS has its own team of internal and external members to compile those daily updates. Staying in Great Falls Public Schools, an internet outage this morning affected some students and parents doing remote learning. A representative for the internet company Spectrum tells MTN the outage was caused by an issue with a third-party carrier's network. The spokesperson said service was restored at 9 a.m. this morning. The Superintendent Moore says some remote learning families were affected. Nearly 20% of the district's approximately 10,000 students have opted for remote learning this semester. Moore says if something like this were to happen again, the district has a plan in place.
We're at the mercy of those systems. If the power goes out, or if the internet goes out, or if our telephone systems go out, we'll have to pivot and adjust and make do without. So packets, if it's an extended period of time where we deliver packets to the remote learners, we'll have to go back to doing that.
Moore says the grades of students who couldn't log on due to the Spectrum outage won't be affected.
More crews have been assigned to the Yogo fire, an additional 40 personnel, bringing the total to 119 people. This fire is burning in the Little Belts near Nyhart. They are keeping this fire from growing significantly, now reported at 3,000 acres. They say it's burned 4 to 5 miles east of its origin and is now near where Yogo Creek meets Skunk Gulch. A signed forest closure is now in effect to protect visitors and firefighters. Still no word on what sparked this fire. Well, thankfully, it's been a calm and nice day for many of us across the state. Here's meteorologist Grant Garland with a first look at our forecast. Grant.
Well, we looked at a very calm day compared to yesterday. Temperatures right now, 75 degrees in the Electric City. It looks beautiful across the state. Thankfully, we have seen a warm and less breezy day, but we're going to see those changes quickly for tomorrow, as winds could be gusting up to 40 miles an hour. Now, currently, we are looking at some peak wind gusts around the Treasure State at 24 miles per hour in Lewistown and 22 in Jordan. Overall, though, we are seeing only 11 mile per hour winds in Great Falls, 10 in Cut Bank, as well as Glasgow, and 15 in Lewistown. Temperatures 72 degrees in other locations in Great Falls, 78 in Helena, 69 in Lewistown, 72 in Havre. And we are looking at a few clouds northwest of Great Falls, but for the most part, many of us are continuing to see sunny skies. As we head throughout the next several hours, by 9 p.m., 55 degrees with mostly clear to clear skies, but clouds will start to roll in as we head throughout the night, even though we are expecting a mostly sunny day tomorrow. Temperatures tonight, 45 degrees in Great Falls, as well as Helena and Hayes, 44 in Glasgow. And heads up, another day of possible fire weather warning from noon through 9 p.m. We're going to talk about all this and more, but Hallie, back to you.
Well, if you think you've been seeing more political TV ads than ever before in Montana, you're right. Montana's U.S. Senate race has now become the most expensive campaign in state history, and it's had more TV ads in the past several weeks than any other Senate contest in the nation. MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison breaks down who's spending that money.
As of last weekend, the spending on the race between Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines and his Democratic challenger, Governor Steve Bullock, has likely surpassed $85 million. That breaks the record set just 2 years ago, when about $75 million was spent on the Senate contest between Democrat John Tester and Republican Matt Rosendale. And we still have 4 weeks until Election Day. So, where's all that money coming from? We have at least $55 million spent by more than 24 outside groups, which are political party groups, ideological groups, or lobbies that support or oppose one of the candidates. The big players here are the Senate Leadership Fund, a Republican group that spent $11 million against Bullock, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, which has spent almost $11 million attacking Daines, the Senate Majority PAC, another Democratic group, which has spent $9.5 million against Daines, and the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which has shelled out $8 million so far to go after Bullock. Other big spenders include the LCV Victory Fund, a conservation group supporting Bullock, and Americans for Prosperity, a conservative free market group supporting Daines. And they don't just buy TV ads. They also pay for mailers, radio ads, digital ads, text messaging of voters, and door-to-door canvassing. Some dark money groups that don't publicly detail their spending also have spent a few $1 million on the race as well. Then we have the candidates' campaigns themselves. They had spent a combined $9.5 million by June 30th. But since then, they've likely spent somewhere between $10 and $20 million more. Next week, they'll report the details for the past 3 months. The Wesleyan Media Center, which tracks TV campaign ads, says Montana's Senate race saw more than 44,000 airings of ads in September, the most of any Senate race in the nation. Montana State University political scientist David Parker says the avalanche of money in the Daines-Bullock tilt indicates the race is extremely close, and that both sides are still trying to persuade those elusive, undecided voters and drive voter turnout. And let's not forget the main reason for all that money. The outcome of this race could determine which party controls the U.S. Senate. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And don't forget, this Saturday, MTN News is sponsoring and broadcasting the final televised debate between Senator Daines and Governor Bullock. It's airing at 6 p.m. right here on KRTV.
Coming up, making Great Falls great for kids. Hear how one woman is empowering others. Stay with us.
Closed captioning is sponsored by The Advocates, injury attorneys.
Steve Bullock ran for president, was wooed by New York liberal Chuck Schumer, and he changed. Bullock now supports changing the rules in D.C. to help enact his liberal backers' extreme agenda. Much higher taxes, government-run health care, even defunding the police. And on Second Amendment rights?
Tell me about your evolution on guns. I know that you have changed your mind over time.
Steve Bullock evolved. And he's not for us anymore. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Kathleen Williams brought taxing habits with her from San Francisco.
They say I talk too much about working with people of all political stripes in Helena to reduce taxes.
Nope. Williams voted against a $47 million state surplus tax refund, against eliminating income taxes on Montana's lowest paid workers, and against 10 other tax cuts. California Kathleen Williams, too taxing for Montana. Club for Growth Action is responsible for the content of this advertising.
We know Steve Bullock used his position to help his friends and family make money. But there's a darker side. Bullock's most senior political aide was caught sexually harassing women. Bullock knew about the harassment, but said nothing, remaining silent when the aide took another job where he harassed women again. Steve Bullock covered for his friend at the expense of these women. Think about that. NRSC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
With all of the care that Logan needs, insurance companies just see him as an expense. But for me, he's my heart. I spoke with Senator Daines twice and told him how important it was for people like Logan to have health care. Each time, Senator Daines told me not to worry. He lied to us. Senator Daines voted to let insurance companies deny coverage for people with pre-existing conditions like Logan. Senator Daines takes their money and votes their way. I feel like he sold us out. SMP is responsible for the content of this ad.
Since we expanded Medicaid in Montana, over 90,000 people can afford to get the medical care they need. But in Washington, Senator Daines repeatedly voted to take their health care away, just as he voted to take away protections for pre-existing conditions. That's a real difference between us. While Senator Daines tries to take away your coverage, I'll work to make health care more affordable for all Montanans. I'm Steve Bullock, and I approve this message.
Here are today's closing stock prices from MTN News. From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back. The Great Falls Chamber of Commerce is recognizing businesses and community members for excellence through their annual awards. MTN's Shannon Newth joins us now with more on one award focused on making Great Falls better for kids.
This is the second year the Great Falls Chamber has given out the Youth Empowerment Award. This year's winner specifically appreciates the title of the award.
I love the word empowerment. That's a huge part of my passion in life, is empowering people to become who they are, what they want to be, how they want to achieve it, whether that's on an individual, a familial, or a community level.
Jamie Marshall has been working for years to better the lives of children and families in Great Falls. She chairs No More Violence Week, works with the Dandelion Foundation, and is on the Prevent Child Abuse and Neglect Task Force. She also serves as the chair for the Kids Education Yes campaign that advocated for the operational levy, which passed in May. Her work with that campaign is one of the reasons she was chosen for the award.
She's just been an incredible leader. She's very humble in what she does, very strategic, but at the same point, well thought out in what we needed to do.
In a community that has felt the effects of child abuse and neglect, Marsha wants to dedicate her time and energy to education and advocacy.
I really do believe that the future of a community is housed so very much in the children and families that reside there. And every little bit that each of us give makes a difference, a very powerful difference.
Marshall again is the second recipient of the award. Last year, Paris Gibson Education Center Principal Drew Euchre was recognized. In Great Falls, Shannon Newth, MTN News.
The plan to repair the Civic Center using tax increment funds cleared its final hurdle. The commission unanimously approved an amendment to the Downtown Urban Renewal Plan that would allow the city to access TIF funds to finance the $5.5 million repair project. The front panels of the Civic Center have seen substantial cracking and buckling over the years. Barricades have been in place for public safety since June. Also making city news, there have been 10 proposals for the design and construction process of the new Aquatics and Recreation Center on the east side of town. The city received a $10 million grant from the Department of Defense. The city will match that using $10 million from the Park Maintenance District assessments that voters approved back in 2018 for park improvements. A selection committee reviewed and ranked the 10 proposals and will conduct interviews with the top 3 applicants over the next few days. Well, today, not as windy as it was yesterday. Meteorologist Grant Garland will have your full forecast up next.
In Montana, we work hard and value freedom. But Mike Cooney is a career politician who thinks we work for him. For 40 years, Cooney's been raising taxes and fees. He raised our gas tax, our vehicle licensing fees. He raised taxes on small businesses. He even raised fees on hunting. The only thing Mike Cooney cares about is higher taxes and more spending. I want to keep more of the money I earn. Career politician Mike Cooney won't ever get my vote.
Meet China's ambassador in Congress. That's what China's actual ambassador called Steve Daines. Daines made money helping his company expand in China while they cut jobs here. Then in Washington, Daines opened the floodgates for China, voting to reward companies that ship jobs overseas and pushing through a corporate bailout that gave hundreds of millions to Chinese companies. Steve Daines, China's choice, putting money before Montana. DSCC is responsible for the content of this ad.
The best venue in town just got better. The Great Falls Event and Conference Center has done a complete remodel of all their event spaces. Whether it's a formal event, a wedding, any business meeting, big or small, or training, the Great Falls Event and Conference Center has you covered and can even cater through their Rocky's Kitchen and Bar. And they can transform their larger spaces into smaller ones for your meetings.
Call us today to schedule your event and we'll make it perfect for you.
Steve Bullock isn't telling you the truth. He's using my vote to fix the Obamacare mess to lie to you about pre-existing conditions. Here's the truth. I've always fought to protect Montanans with pre-existing conditions, and I always will. And that's why I'll fight against Bullock and Biden's plan to put the government in charge of your health care. That's the real threat to anyone with a pre-existing condition. I'm Steve Daines, and I approve this message.
When you see a provider, do they really see you? At Bullhook Community Health Center, we see our patients a little differently. We believe in whole person care. What does that mean for you? It means that no matter what care you need, we not only provide it, but we all work together for your total health, because it's all your parts that make you whole. Bullhook Community Health Center, here for all of you.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Well, good evening, everyone. I hope that you have had a great day so far, ready to tackle on tomorrow, Thursday. Let's go ahead and take a look outside. It definitely was a cooler day than yesterday. It was very nice out in Great Falls, 73 degrees in both the Electric City as well as Havre. Now, a little bit warmer in Helena, 80 degrees. And 69 in Lewistown. Now, the average for this time of year is 62 degrees, so again, well above the average. The record, though, was set back in 1933 when it was 86 degrees. That was also the year that a vacuum cleaner was just under $18. Well, temperatures right now, 72 degrees in Great Falls as well as Havre, 78 in Helena, 66 in Cut Bank as well as Glasgow, and 70 in Jordan. And we did see some peak wind gusts of around 24 miles an hour in Lewistown and 22 in Jordan. Tomorrow, expect for those numbers to be way higher. Now, over the last 3 hours, we have been looking at a few clouds rolling towards the northwest of the Electric City, out towards Cut Bank and Browning. Everyone else, though, looking at sunny conditions. And fire weather warning concerns grow tomorrow starting at noon and last through 9 p.m. tomorrow evening, all thanks to low relative humidity levels, as well as our winds picking up and temperatures that are going to be warmer. So we are seeing places that are at elevated and critical fire weather, and seeing that critical fire weather in Cut Bank, Havre, as well as Great Falls, and elevated conditions for those in Lewistown. Now, why though? Well, that's a great question. As a warm front lifts as we go throughout the night, we will see a few clouds try and build into the area, but most of us should stay mostly sunny. That warm front, as it passes, will allow for winds to pick up. And that's going to allow for our temperatures to be warm as well as us to dry out. And then we see a cold front that starts to drop to the lower 48 as we go throughout the morning on Friday, the early morning hours. That's going to set the stage for us actually seeing cooler temperatures, thankfully, as we head into the best day of the work week, in my opinion anyways. Now, our winds gusting tomorrow, some locations will be able to see 40 miles an hour. It doesn't project it on this screen here, but just take my word for it. We could see that. 10 to 20 mile per hour winds around 3 o'clock for pretty much everyone except for those in Glasgow, Jordan, and Missoula and Bozeman. But we will be able to see a breezy day all in all throughout the day tomorrow. As far as the next 4 days are concerned, we're going to continue to see our winds gusting. 20 miles an hour, not too bad on Friday, but then 30 on both Saturday and Sunday. And our temperatures too, they're going to be dropping down to 57 degrees on Sunday, all thanks to a cold front. That's also Saturday night into Sunday. That's where we're going to have our best chance to see any rain. Now, we talked about this yesterday. Hurricane Delta is now at a Category 1. It has weakened significantly, but it's going to revamp up to a Category 2 hurricane tonight as it makes its way closer to the Louisiana coastline. Temperatures tonight, though, back in the Treasure State, 45 in Great Falls, 46 in Lewistown, 40 in Havre, and 44 in Glasgow. Tomorrow, warming up to 79 degrees in the capital, 78 in Great Falls, 80 in Lewistown as well as Havre, 78 in Hayes, Glasgow, and 83 in Jordan. So tomorrow, yes, we will see mostly sunny skies, and yes, we will see windy conditions, but we're also going to add in some haze to that factor as well. Then on Saturday, partly sunny skies. As showers start to vamp in from the west, we'll see our chances increase as we head into the night. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Grant. And still to come, a big change for one high schooler forced to attend classes in a different country. Details are next.
The Great Falls iCam is sponsored by U.S. Bank.
It's pretty easy to see. Montanans do things the Montana way, and millionaire Matt Rosendale does things his way. Like in the legislature, Rosendale pushed an agenda that hurt farmers and ranchers, but helped land developers like himself. And as auditor, he took thousands from the insurance industry and let them raise our premiums. He even let them deny coverage for pre-existing conditions. Yep, it's clear as day. Matt Rosendale just doesn't fit Montana.
I'm Kathleen Williams, and I approve this message.
Though human ingenuity will continue to make various inventions, with the help of new machines built to do the same, of this I am certain. No invention will ever be devised that is more beautiful, more simple, and more purposeful than those that nature designs. Proud server of the most advanced machine on Earth.
Customers loved it the first time, so they're doing it again. Don't miss the massive warehouse liquidation sale going on now at Conlins in Great Falls. Conlins has received truckloads of excess inventory from top manufacturers and is passing the savings on to you. They're overstocked and must move inventory now. The clock is ticking on great deals for top quality living room, dining room, bedroom sets, mattresses, and more. Hurry in for the best selection and discounts you must see to believe. Conlins in Great Falls, located at 4600 10th Avenue South.
Steve Bullock isn't telling you the truth. He's using my vote to fix the Obamacare mess to lie to you about pre-existing conditions. Here's the truth. I've always fought to protect Montanans with pre-existing conditions, and I always will. And that's why I'll fight against Bullock and Biden's plan to put the government in charge of your health care. That's the real threat to anyone with a pre-existing condition. I'm Steve Daines, and I approve this message.
This is what Greg Gianforte thinks about your hard-earned Social Security.
The example I think of is Noah. How old was Noah when he built the ark? 600. Yeah. Okay. He wasn't like cashing Social Security checks. He wasn't hanging out. He was working, right? So I think we have an obligation to work.
No wonder Gianforte voted to put Social Security and Medicare at risk, but got a $3 million tax break. No retirement security for us, millions for him.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
It's no secret, coronavirus has created some strange situations in high school sports this year,
including forcing one Montanan to go to school in a different country. MTN's Isaiah Dunk has more from Cut Bank.
The coronavirus has made the fall 2020 season a season of adjustments in high school athletics. But for the new high school quarterback here in Cut Bank, coronavirus is just one of a few new things to get used to.
Forget face masks and social distancing. Sophomore signal caller Caleb DeManigold has been spending the season getting accustomed to American football. DeManigold's father runs a bison ranch near Babb, so Caleb had previously gone to school and played football north of the border in Cardston, Alberta.
It's a little different. You got 12 men, and then you got like 3 downs, and then the football field's longer. That was like the main big ones, and then you got like little rules and stuff.
But when the border closed last spring, DeManigold had to look elsewhere and decided on Cut Bank just a few days before the season started. He loves that football is more in the spotlight in the U.S., and he wants to take advantage.
You get looked at more. In Canada, it's very difficult to get like people, like colleges, to look at you up there. So I just came down here. It'd be easier for me.
Speaking of college, Caleb's dad, Mark, was a freshman defensive tackle on the 1988 Notre Dame squad that won the national championship. Football is part of his fiber, and the Wolves are sure glad Caleb is here.
The kid is very, very smart, a lot of football intelligence. So for him, it was, I'm not going to say natural because it was a transition, but he took it well. He's a kid that you can tell loves the game. Did take a little bit, I think, for him to pick up that one less guy on the field, but he's done an awesome job.
It hasn't been a banner year for the Wolves, who sit at 0-5 on the season, but for a team that knew it had some holes to fill and didn't fill them till the last minute, there's a lot to look forward to.
This offseason is going to be a really, really big one. Now that we have a certified quarterback, we can come here in the mornings after we're done lifting and just start throwing the ball around, getting chemistry better, and just everything like that. It's super exciting to think about. I can't wait.
At this point, DeManigold feels his future is here in Cut Bank, so the border closure might be a blessing for both him and the Wolves program. In Cut Bank, Isaiah Dunk, MTN Sports.
And don't go away, we'll be right back.
There's a lot of noise out there, but it shouldn't be complicated. The Attorney General should be independent. But my opponent is a partisan extremist who said he'd rip away health care protections and sell off our public lands. I'm Rafe Graybill. I fought to protect our public lands, and I won. I've sued the feds and won. I will be an independent watchdog. I'll protect our health care, and I'll stop the price gouging in prescription drugs. It's that simple. Now let's enjoy some quiet.
Meet China's ambassador in Congress. That's what China's actual ambassador called Steve DAINES. DAINES made money helping his company expand in China while they cut jobs here. Then in Washington, DAINES opened the floodgates for China, voting to reward companies that ship jobs overseas and pushing through a corporate bailout that gave hundreds of millions to Chinese companies. Steve DAINES, China's choice, putting money before Montana. DSCC is responsible for the content of this ad.
We measure Montana's quality of life acre by acre, and politicians like Greg Gianforte action by action on protecting public lands. Gianforte's selfish, greedy, like when he sued to block access to a stream near his riverfront mansion, right before Gianforte tried privatizing our national forests and selling our public lands to the highest bidder. Violating our rights, insulting our values. That's Greg Gianforte, and you just can't trust him.
It's been a busy summer. Lots of boating, riding bikes, kayaking, fishing, floating, and camping. But summer's sadly ending, and you need to put it all up for the winter.
Man, it just barely fits.
Hun, can you get the rakes?
Need bigger, better storage? Then get to MontanaShedCenter.com or stop by one of their many locations, because they have sheds designed to make your life easier.
Storage your way, MontanaShedCenter.com.
Montana's seat in Congress, Nancy Pelosi needs it, and she's spending millions on Kathleen Williams to get it. Because Kathleen Williams is Nancy Pelosi, a liberal activist from San Francisco. Williams is for radical gun control, same as Pelosi. Both earned an F from the NRA, and the Williams-Pelosi coalition wants to defund the police. Nancy Pelosi needs Montana's seat to stay in power. To stop Pelosi, stop Kathleen Williams.
I'm Matt Rosendale, and I approve this message.
Well, temperatures tonight, 45 degrees in Great Falls, as well as Helena, 40 in Havre, and a little bit warmer in Glasgow at 44 degrees. Tomorrow, warming up to 78 degrees in the Electric City, 79 in the capital, and 80 in both Havre as well as Lewistown. And we will have a hazy day in the afternoon tomorrow, mixing in with mostly sunny skies and some winds gusting possibly up to 40 miles an hour. So definitely breezy tomorrow. Our next best chance of rain, though, will come Saturday night through the day, early mornings on Sunday. Back to you guys in the studio.
This is cool. One of the most complete T-Rex skeletons easily beat all auction expectations, and it was found right here in Montana, Tim. At nearly $32 million, the sale set a new record for any dinosaur, fossil, or skeleton ever sold at auction.
The auction house expected the 13-foot tall, 40-foot long fossil to fetch between $6 and $8 million. The skeleton was nicknamed Stan after the first name of the amateur paleontologist who found the bones in Montana and Wyoming back in 1987.
You need a really big room for that.
Yes, very, very big. That's all the time we have. See you back at 10.